well-attended function with attendees dressed in black, the convener of Men Against Rape and executive director of Make a Difference initiative, Mr. Lemi Ugewe, said, "We seek to raise our collective voice to call for a more concerted national strategy to curb the pandemic of sexual and gender-based violence."
The essence of today is for us to raise our voices, one, to tell Ochanya, to tell Uwa, to tell Barakat, and to tell Azizat that we remember you. We will not forget you. Today is to remember you. Today is to honor you. Today is to remind a nation that is grappling with so many that Ochanya, Uwa, Barakat, and Azizat, amongst the numerous ones, there are so many, all victims. Today is for all victims, including these ones, to know that we are united in our struggle to insist that justice must be done. Perpetrators must be brought to book. Most cases of SGBV go unreported. So for every 2 cases that are reported, be assured that 20 have gone unreported. And the reason being the kind of society we have, which is a patriarchal society, where even our laws, our tradition, our religion, I call them a conspiracy of the tyranny of religion, culture, tradition, and our laws. The conspiracy of those forces have made it almost impossible for the woman and the girl child to breathe. They really cannot breathe, but we must take off our knees from the girls so they can breathe. It is so bad that in the criminal code, if a man has an altercation with a woman and he strikes her with his hands, the criminal code degrades that level of aggression to a mere casual assault. But if the woman strikes the man, it is called a felony. The provision of section 51 of the penal code says that if you have married your wife by native law and custom, you can raise your whip and beat her as though a child or a slave. The same penal code says if a girl is 14 years or less than 14, even if 9 years, so long as she has started manifesting signs of puberty, a little pimple growing on her chest, pardon my expression, because at age 9, what will you call that? You can't call it what you should call it. It's still forming. Now, children now show signs of puberty, like go into their monthly cycle, some as early as 9 years. The penal code says once you start showing signs of puberty, you can rightly be contracted into marriage. Now, this is the hypocrisy and the conspiracy of silence of even our elites, that they keep quiet and they allow this to happen. The position of the law is trite, that to the extent once a law is made different from the Constitution, which is the ground norm, to the extent of the inconsistency of the provision of that law, it is null and void, and the Constitution is supreme. So if our Constitution says you cannot choose who leads you as councillor, chairman, president, governor until you are 18 years old, how can you now use the penal code to contract a baby into marriage, child marriage, and eventually?
The representative of the Director General of National Orientation Agency, Dr. Davidson Aminu, said the sexual and gender-based violence is not only a barbaric but very criminal. NOAA has a responsibility to educate Nigeria on sexual and gender-based violence.
Anyway, these people like this organization or the organizers of this forum, my DG said I should inform you, I should also pass the message to you that the NOAA is ready to collaborate with you people. So you take note of that. So we collaborate so that whatever level we can take this campaign to, this will do it. But I want to add one other thing which is also important. It is unfortunate that this criminal act is more with men, but it is not only men that indulge in this barbaric act. So when we have a forum like this, please let us try to balance our discussion so that we can have a meaningful impact.
The event can be complete without NAPTIP input.
The society is so bad. If the man says no, it is no. His word is rule. His word is law. If a father is raping his daughter and she goes to the mother, Mom, please, every night daddy comes to me, the mother will be in denial because she knows the consequences. She knows better right. Let's be frank. We women, we know. Some of us are so sensitive that when our daughters are in their menstrual cycle, we also experience those changes within our body. So when somebody is violating your child, your son or your daughter, we know. But most women are in denial because the man is the head of the home. If the man gets locked up, what will society say? The family will turn against the woman, carry your children and go, you lock our son for prison. Now if you don't lock our son for prison now, who will feed you? Is the family ready to cater for your children? Is the family ready to cater for you? And the woman is not working. So those pointers tell us that there is need for empowerment of women. There is need for women to speak out, irrespective of what happens. If it's your husband, you need to speak out.
It come to an end with the lighting of candle by participants.
I'm sure that you are aware of the duties and responsibility of the National Electoral Agency. We have a responsibility to educate the public on government policy, programs, and activities. In fact, we educate the public on national issues. So, the subject of discussion, social and gender-based violence, you know that has become a serious menace in this country. And the NOA has, since the past few months, on feed, educating Nigerians on the implications and why they must do away with this menace. Like I said earlier on, we have national structure, state, local government, even at the national level. So it was not so easy for us to engage critical stakeholders who can also support in taking the campaign down to even the grassroots. We have had rallies, we have had forum with traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other critical stakeholders who are supposed to complement our effort in educating the people, and not only educating them, telling them that they should reject this menace, that they should also help us to also educate their subjects and followers.
Teams in our poster. However, you and I know that there are thousands, there are hundreds of cases at least. In this year alone, we've had several deaths, several people gang raped and killed. Uwa is an example of someone who was gang raped and killed in a church. Ochanya was killed, died 2 years ago after a father and son serially sodomized and raped her till she got health complication and eventually died. Now, Barakat was gang raped in her father's compound where she was taking a bath in a makeshift bathroom. Azizat also was killed by the people who raped her. Now, these are just 4 of the very many cases that we have in the country. Because we are a people that suffer a national amnesia, it happens today and we begin to shout, oh no, this should not happen. And after 2 weeks, people have gone down, they've forgotten it, we are pursuing other new developments. We now say no. As part of our contribution to the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence, we decided that, okay, we will do a night of poetry in order to raise our voices and stimulate more concerted and united action to say we must bring the pandemic called as sexual and gender-based violence to its knees. This is a pandemic more serious than even coronavirus.
Tolu Odugbeson, I head the sexual and gender-based violence unit in NAPTIP, and the agency on November 25th, 2019 launched the National Sex Offenders and Service Providers Register. The essence of the register is to transfer the victimization and stigmatization from the perpetrator or offender of sexual and gender-based violence from the victim to the offender. Victims can now speak out because on that register we only have details and records of cases and offenders who have been convicted in a court of law. The details of the offender are on the register, the offenses they have committed and the punishment meted out to them. So victims can see that whoever has molested or abused them has been adequately dealt with. The hands of the law have dealt with them. The agency also, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we were overwhelmed with cases of sexual and gender-based violence. We have been reported day in, day out. So the Director General, Dame Julia Kadonli, deemed it fit to create sexual and gender-based violence units to address issues, to look after victims, treat them, in collaboration with the Rapid Response Team. The team functions as a squad who arrests perpetrators and rescues victims, removing them from that environment, bringing them to NAPTIP, whereby we can keep them in safe shelters, as well as launching an on-sub cans application for in collaboration with the Office of the Vice President for students in universities to report cases of harassment in the university environment, as well as development of a gender policy for mainstreaming gender within the agency, within the organization, and within the services provided for the treatment and care of victims of both sexual and gender-based violence and trafficking in persons, as well as continuous advocacy sensitization within the FCT and in all states of the Federation to ensure that sexual and gender-based violence are brought to a minimum.